Hello everybody, welcome back to Running with Georgia. Today's video I wanted to talk about something that cropped up today. So as you can see, probably, I'm quite sweaty. I've just come back from an 8 kilometer run. The reason why I wanted to record this video right after the run without even showering first was because the topic of this video is very closely tied to the run I just went on. Essentially, I was feeling really unmotivated today to go out on my run. My schedule for the day that I had planned out in my head didn't really come to plan, and it ended up that I would have to go on my run a bit later than I had expected to. In those sort of circumstances where my plans changed, I start just not wanting to run at all. And in those sort of situations, so things like that, and also when I'm making excuses for myself not to run, like, oh, I'm too tired, or, it doesn't really fit in with, what I want to do that day, blah, 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 blah. All those times where there's no genuine reason to run and to not run. I'm just making up excuses and I still need to go out and run. Is I like to think about the athletes that inspire me, because I feel like that, gives me that extra push to go out and run, because it really gives me some motivation. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, some of the athletes that motivate me and inspire me to go out and run and do better and try to, improve myself, essentially. So that's what we're talking about today. So I have 5 athletes on this list. The reason why I've called them athletes and not runners is because only 3 of them are professional runners. The other 2 we'll get onto later. But first up is obviously Eliud Kipchoge. I think, that man needs no introduction. I think everyone was probably expecting him to be on my list. First person to ever run a sub 2 hour marathon. I know some people will be, thinking, oh, well, technically it doesn't actually count because the Boston course doesn't count towards the world record time, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. He ran 26.2 miles under 2 hours. It's good enough for me to count it. So, and, either way, anyone running close to that time is incredible, in my opinion. But more so is, seeing him speak while he's not running, in the background. I watched a video that he did of the top 10 things that he couldn't live without. I'll link that in down below. And just watching him talk, he seems like a really nice, genuine guy. He's also quite funny when he talked about his favourite music being from Kelly Clarkson, the What Doesn't Kill You Make You Stronger, and the way he talks about his family and how important that is as well. Because obviously running is important, it's clearly very important to him. He puts a lot of training in, but he does also put that focus on your family and things like that, which is something that I appreciate as well, especially because I am married. A lot of the time, when you do have a family and things like that, sometimes you need to prioritize that. And I like that, he does talk about his family quite a lot. So that was first one, Eliud Kipchoge, obviously an amazing athlete, all-round good guy. Number 2 on my list is someone that you may have seen around on YouTube. She's quite popular, especially in the running community. Her name is Philly Bowden. I'm not actually entirely sure how you correctly pronounce her name. But essentially, she is a Team GB athlete. She's competed for them in the past, and I think she got recruited for their next training squad. At the moment, she's on her training plan to try and get Olympic qualifying time in the marathon. Obviously, an amazing runner as well, super talented, just incredible watching her videos and telling her, talking about, her training that she gets up to. It's insane. She goes and does, high altitude training for weeks. The amount of mileage that she packs into a week in her training is really impressive. But the reason why that she inspires me, because you do have a lot of runners that are fast, that are on the Team GB squad, things like that. But the reason why she inspires me more is the first video I ever saw of hers was when she was talking about her experience running for Oregon State University over in the US, which is a Division I college. If you don't know what that means, Division I is like the highest US college athletes can compete. It's incredibly competitive. A lot of people will have their scholarships, their full ride scholarships to college if they compete in that. So it's very important. But in that video, she essentially talked about how that experience nearly ruined her career. And I'm not going to go into too much detail there, because if you do want to watch that video, it's a very good video. It touches on a lot of important topics, especially for women's running. I'll leave a link down below to that. But the reason why she inspires me in particular, related to that video, is that it's nice to see, it's not nice to see obviously someone struggle, but it's nice to see someone have a period of struggling and not feeling their best and not feeling motivated. And even if they wanted to give up, they didn't. And they've managed to come back. I mean, the stuff she's doing now is incredible. I don't think when she was in that period of time when she was running for Oregon, I don't think she ever expected to be able to reach the level she's at now. So that's why Filly inspires me, not just because of her achievements, but more so the story behind her achievements, how she hit a rough patch but managed to come back and come back even stronger. Third on the list and last of the professional runners, I have Courtney Dauwalter. Courtney is a 38-year-old ultramarathoner from the States. She was always a very good runner. She ran track, cross country, and then also did alpine skiing when she was in high school. She had multiple cross country championships when she was in high school as well, competed at college, yada, yada, yada. But what's interesting about her is she didn't actually become a professional athlete until quite a lot later in her life. So out of college, she actually went to study to go be a teacher, and she taught alongside running. So she still did run, while she was teaching and working her typical 9 to 5, although, a teacher's job is not 9 to 5. But yeah, so she didn't have a professional career until about 2017, where she made that full-time jump over to being a professional runner. Since then, she's just, she's sort of skyrocketing up. Most recent win was the Western States 100, that ultra marathon, which she had won previously, and then had a couple of rough years after that. She came back, she won it. Not only did she win it, she set an all new time course record for that race, which is incredible. So not only is she one of those athletes that proves that, there's no sort of time limit for being able to go on and achieve and, win races and get trophies and accolades and things like that, but she also does it in a very modest and also true to herself way. If you watch all of her interviews after she wins a race, or even not wins, but does very well, she's always very focused on the we. She realizes that although it's her running, she has a lot of people in the background that are helping her. Her husband helps do the strategies. She's obviously got a lot of pacers. She's got people at the aid stations. And I feel like people think of running as a very solitary sport, because it is only one person at the end of the day that's on the top step of that podium. But she does. She always makes sure to talk about the people that have helped her. And that's really nice to see someone not only enjoying their own success, but being able to acknowledge the people behind her success. The other thing that I appreciate about her is she does it on her own terms. People talk about a lot of the time, she's running in quite baggy, like basketball shorts and baggy tops and things like that, when a lot of other ultra marathons are wearing like skin tight clothes and compression shorts and things like that. It's just nice to see someone just not really caring what the status quo is and just doing her own thing and then doing it really well. So that is third on my list, Courtney Dauwalter. So we're done with the professional runners. I did want to touch on one professional athlete who's not a runner, but he is someone that really inspires me. I'm not sure if you can see in the background, but he's up there. His name is Max Verstappen. He is a Formula One driver. He has 2 world championships, on his way to the 3rd. And right now, I just want to cut in and say that I will not have any people going in the comments and complaining about Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen. Whatever happens, when someone brings up one of those 2 names, people from the other fan base come in and just, it's very toxic. I have a lot of respect for Lewis Hamilton. I think he's a wonderful driver and a great guy outside of racing. I just started watching racing, later on, where he was the top guy and everyone kind of likes to root for an underdog. So respect Lewis Hamilton. Please don't get in the comments and start yelling at me for liking Max Verstappen. I think they're both great drivers. But anyway, the reason why Max Verstappen inspires me a lot is because he's very clear about one thing only. The one thing he cares about more than anything else in the world is racing. He grew up racing, he lives and breathes racing. When he's not racing at the track, he's back home in the simulator or streaming on Twitch while he's doing his sim racing online as well. He's one of those people that when he cares about something and he wants to do well, he puts in the hours and he puts in the effort. And I think that's something that a lot of people, don't really want to do. They want to get the results, but they don't want to be toiling away, working in the background as well. He's also, overcome a bit of a difficult childhood. His father was a Formula One racer as well. So obviously not difficult in the sense of they grew up in poverty, blah, 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 blah. But if you know anything about that sort of story about him, Jos, and his mum, it wasn't a great dynamic to grow up in. I'm not going to talk about the exact ins and outs because I just don't want to. I want to keep this video a bit lighter. But he's got past that in his childhood, had a bit of a rough time there, but he's the youngest ever Formula One driver in history, youngest ever race winner. He just does amazing things day in, day out. And also, more importantly, he makes it very clear that he's not in it for any of the fame, the money, any of that stuff. He said consistently that he'll only continue racing when he enjoys it. And as soon as he stops liking it, he's going to pack it in. And I think that's something that people need to also realize is it's okay to be chasing results, but at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, what's really the point? It even, he inspires me so much that even when I first started running and I didn't know about all these other athletes that I previously mentioned, if I was having a really tough time running, when it was just because when I first started running, my body would hurt all over, my lungs, I couldn't breathe, and I just wanted to kind of give up all the time. And what I actually find really motivating to me, this is going to sound like I'm an absolute crazy person, but what I do is to try and not think about the pain that my body was in. I'd go away in my head and imagine that I was training with Max and we were both going and we were being teammates in Formula One. I know it sounds really stupid and crazy, but it worked and it still works to this day. Even now, if I'm having a really tough day motivating myself, I will wear this top. It is my Red Bull Team Technical t-shirt and I'll pop that on and it gives me a bit of a mental boost to be able to actually go out and run and get those miles in and keep working on my goals. So last on the list is a little bit of a wild card. He's a very good athlete, but he's not professional. He's never been a professional athlete and he's never really run that much in the past. His name is Cody Ko. You probably may have heard of him in the past, but maybe not for, athletic reasons. He's a big YouTuber and he makes a lot of commentary style videos. He did a lot of vlogging, comedy videos as well. And I really enjoy that content that he makes as well. But he started recently in the past couple of years doing another channel called Cody Trains, which basically captures his training journey. He used to be, quite a good athlete, not in running or cycling or anything like that. He was a diver. He was a Division 1 athlete for Duke University. But he said that once he started being a YouTuber and he moved to LA and all that sort of stuff came up and he wasn't diving anymore, he felt himself getting into sort of a rut where he wasn't feeling very healthy. He didn't keep up with his training and he just felt quite bad about it. So he made the decision to basically, snap out of it, made himself suck it up and start training for something. So he immediately picked like a 60-mile ultra marathon and that he started training towards. And then he's trained and done Ironmans and all sorts of things. I'll link a video to his ultra marathon video down below. It's my favorite video that he's done. It's very interesting. But the reason why he inspires me is, yes, he has had that past of being, an incredible top level athlete. And I think that did help. But he's just, at the end of the day, it kind of feels a lot more like I feel like other people would experience running and getting into fitness, is where you just one day decided that you wanted to make a change. And even if you haven't done something before, if it's a change you want to make, you'll put in the effort and then you will get those results. His training channel as well really is motivating because you see those other athletes and you see their results and they're impressive, but then sometimes you're like, oh, well, why can't I get to that level? Because you don't see a lot of the hard work and the grind that goes into it behind the scenes. So Cody sharing his training journey and sharing, the highs and the lows, all of it, it really does inspire you and it makes you think that you can do that stuff too. So yeah, not a professional athlete, but someone that I relate to more than maybe the others, just because it was someone that wasn't really happy with, the lifestyle that they were living, wanted to make a change and stuck with it. So that is all 5 of the people on my list. Obviously, there are more athletes that do inspire me, but I don't have time for all of those in this video. Please feel free down below to leave me a comment and let me know about who inspires you. I'd be really interested to hear that. If you did enjoy this video, please consider liking and maybe even subscribing. If you do want to see my ongoing training journey and these other little videos that I slot in between, it would really mean a lot to me. Also, if there is anything you want me to discuss, anything to do with running, not running, absolutely anything at all, leave that down below and I might make a video on that as well. But until then, I'll see you guys next time.